Okay, so I'm going to make a start. So my name's Connie Lohman. I've just finished my final year studying marketing at the Kent Business School. So I stayed in Turing in first year just for a bit of background information, and I'm from South East London. So we've got a few questions that we've had in our DMs already. So I was just going to make a start on those. If you just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so we're going to start off with why I chose Kent. So personally, the location for me was the most important thing. I wanted somewhere that was going to be close to London so I could commute back home, and then somewhere that had just amazing natural beauty, and Kent is so like that. Kent is 15 minutes from the coast. We used to go to the coast the whole time in my final year. It's so beautiful, and as a campus it's surrounded by green areas. It's very rural, but it's also very close to London, and the city itself is so beautiful and it has everything you need, so you don't feel isolated at all. You feel very close to London, very close to the city, so that was one of the reasons I chose Kent. Next was the great reputation that Kent has. Not that it's a Russell Group university, but I don't think that matters as much anymore. It just has a good reputation, which is really good with employability. So loads of my friends already that have graduated have got new jobs, and they've got jobs from their graduation and good graduate schemes, because Kent in itself, it has just such a good reputation with employers. So that was another reason I chose Kent. For me personally as well, I studied marketing, and that ranked highly with the national rankings, so especially linking with employability, that looks really good. So that was another reason, and also the facilities. So I was at the Kent Business School, which is called Sibson. It's near Parkwood, and it's amazing. It's got massive rooms, great seminar rooms, and the library as well. Really sold it for me, so that's why I chose Kent. I think we've got another one here in our DMs. Best thing about the course. So for me, I was in the Kent Business School, like I said. I studied marketing. For me, the best thing about the course, especially in my first year, so the way the business schools kind of run is that in the first year you have quite a vague overview of all business topics. So in my first year I did an introduction to marketing, introduction to management, we had a statistics module, we had one about Excel. These are things at the time I wasn't necessarily that happy about because my maths brain just isn't really there. So for me, I was a bit concerned about them, but once you get started, you realise that you need that business foundation because that helps you with everything you do in your second and third year. So now I'm applying to graduate schemes, and I realise that the Excel course I did is now super useful, and that looks so good on my CV because I've now done that. So in your first year, for me, it was really useful, and it was a great way to start. It's a great introductory year. This is different from sixth forms and secondary schools because in your introduction year, your first year, it doesn't necessarily count towards your overall grade. So that doesn't mean don't try, it just means that if you're not as comfortable in the subject, so for me maths, it wasn't my most comfortable subject and I didn't necessarily do that well in it, but it really helped develop my business brain. So that's what I'd say I definitely recommend, putting the effort into your first year, and even if it's not your subject area, definitely work on it because it's great for your employability. So that's why I really liked my first year. Second thing I really liked about my course is the variety of assessment methods. So for me, when I first got to uni, when someone said we're going to do a presentation, I hated the idea. It was just not my thing. I thought I do not want to stand in front of a room of 15 people and talk about something. But by the time you get to your final year, you realise how important this is, and it's just setting you up for your job. And I think doing that and forcing myself to do these presentations has helped grow my confidence so much. So I really respect that from my course, because it's really helped to develop my confidence with speaking in front of people. Also, drawing on that, we had a lot of people so we had Visit Kent, we had different people come in from outside businesses to come and work with us in our modules. So this was super handy for developing skills that we would use when we graduate. So like I say, the variety of assessment methods, so the presentations that we did in front of these different brands and businesses, the in-class tests, the exams and the different courseworks, it really helps you to build up a strong portfolio of work, which is going to be really handy to show employers once you leave university. So that's something that I really found valuable. So another question we have in our DMs was what halls did I choose? If you're still unsure about your halls, or if you come through clearing, a great thing about Kent is that they've said that anyone that comes through clearing has guaranteed accommodation on campus, which is so good, and it's a complete like weight off your shoulders. So for me personally, I was in Turing. I was in the Turing flats, which is one of the more expensive halls on campus, but I was just assigned these after when I came through university the normal way. So I shared with 6 people in our flat, which was just like literally one flat. Turing also have houses, so I was just in a flat with 6 other people. We had a large kitchen, and we were very lucky. I think Turing, because it's a self-catered accommodation, you have a larger kitchen. So they do a flex package, and they do a catered package, but Turing isn't classed as one of these, so that's why you get a bigger kitchen. So in our kitchen we have a big table for eating at, and then you've got also sofa areas which are great for socialising. It's all very open plan, and there's loads of space. So if all 7 of you are in there, if you're eating, if you're cooking, there's always going to be enough room, and it's just a great way to get to know your flatmates, and it really makes a really nice social area. For my room, like my bedroom, I had an ensuite, which was really nice, and a queen-size bed with a desk that kind of goes the whole way around your room, and a big wardrobe. And there's obviously like storage that you can get under the bed. The rooms are made perfectly for students, basically, so there's a lot of wardrobe space if you're like me and you have loads of clothes. And the desk space is massive as well, so you're never going to run out of room, and if you don't feel like going to the library, you can always study in your room. I recommend as well, when you move in, do lots of things to try and make it feel as homely as possible. So bring your pictures, bring anything that reminds you of home to make yourself feel really comfortable. But the room itself was really nice. Everything's really clean, especially the bathroom. I was very lucky to have an ensuite, but from what I've heard from other people, and I know Tav, who did it live as well, she said that not having an ensuite doesn't put you at much of a disadvantage. She said that, just bring some slides, walking to and from, but she said in general, not having an ensuite wasn't that bad. So if if you do or don't have an ensuite, don't worry, it's going to be fine either way. You'll get used to it, and especially once you get to know your housemates, it'll make you feel a lot more comfortable as well. And the halls, just for like recommendations, naturally I would sway towards Turing because I wanted an ensuite, and it is not one of the nicest, none of them are bad accommodation options, but because it's one of the most modern ones, and it's kind of set back from main campus, it's slightly more of a walk, it means maybe it's slightly quieter, I don't know, but for me Turing was amazing. The good thing about all the halls is that you all each have your own like catering place or your reception area. So for us we had Hut 8, which was really nice, giving a view of the cathedral, and I have to point that out as well, especially one of the other reasons I chose Kent is because the views are amazing. You can see right across the cathedral. This is from Canterbury campus. Also from Medway, I know that they have a really like great historic background, so everything is really stunning to look at, and there's some really like beautiful views I've been shown from everyone else that's at Medway. Okay, so we also have here, I will be based on the Medway campus. Is it easy to get to the Canterbury campus? So definitely, it's super easy to get from one place to the other. The free shuttle bus runs basically every hour, so it's so easy for you to literally shuttle from one place to the other, and it's free for Kent students. So all you have to do is you show your Kent card, which you'll get on your first day, and you can go to and from. I think the time to get there and back, it depends varying on traffic of course, but for me, I've been a few times, it only took about 45 minutes. It's great for people that are on Medway if they want to come over for a social event, or if they want to come over for something. It's not typical that they'll come over for lectures or modules, but if you do, it's so easy. I actually took part in the business startup journey. This was a society for people with business ideas and like entrepreneurship basically, and they held quite a few things, to make it fair for Medway members. They had a few in Medway as well, and it was so easy. The bus stops are literally on campus for you, and you just show your Kent One card, like I say, and they're quite cosy, like they're comfy buses, so if you're going to get them a lot, it's not like your average like London bus, it's kind of like a coach, it's nice, so that makes it so easy and convenient. Okay, the next one says, is it easy to meet people when you arrive? I was quite nervous about this myself, because when I joined university I was quite a shy person. I thought I'm not really going to be able to find anyone that I'm going to be friends with, but yeah, I think what you have to remember is that everyone's in the same boat. Everyone wants to make friends. people don't really know each other, and everyone wants to give themselves the most pleasurable experience possible, so everyone wants to get to know each other when they can. I'd say that uni is very different from previous education, so from sixth form and from secondary schools, because there's just so many people at university, which can seem quite overwhelming. When you realise that everyone's in their own kind of groups and their own sections, you eventually do find your people. Mine wasn't necessarily straight away, but I found people that I got on with, and I found, you know, groups of people that I really liked, and it's just getting to know and finding out where these people are. So for me personally, I found that societies did so many wonders, because it makes you meet people that you have common interests with. So when I first got to university, I used to play football, but I didn't really want to do that anymore, so I was looking for new societies, and I actually joined the Kent Snow. I'd never been skiing, I'd never snowboarded, I wasn't really a winter person, but when I got there everyone was so friendly, and I realised that that's kind of where I made all of my friends. So now I've been on 2 tours, which I never thought I would have done. I've been skiing twice, and now I can ski. So these kind of, like, being at universities is where it's so different to previous education or outside of education, because I managed to go on a cheap ski tour, meet so many people, and everyone's quite open, and there's all of these events to make you, you know, to encourage you to get to know people and encourage you to mix and do things that you've never done before. So for me, joining a society was 100% the best way to do that. But also just with your flatmates or your, you know, the houses that you're staying in general, being really open and like leaving your door open and actually going and knocking on your neighbour's door and making an effort. I think the first time you take those steps to get to know people, that's when you start forming bonds, and you start mingling with people that you didn't think you would. So I'd say as well, definitely consider bringing like card games, or if you have any like weird games that are going to encourage, you know, you to play. Obviously COVID might make things slightly more difficult, but I think if you, especially within your flat, if you're getting to know each other that way and you're bringing card games and you're doing things that you can do inside your flats together, I think that's definitely a great way to meet people. Yeah, so I think definitely it can be, even if you're quite a shy person, there's always going to be a society for you. There's so many different societies. There's literally tea drinking societies, Disney, Harry Potter, or there's the sports society. So whatever your vibe is, there's going to be something for you. So I wouldn't worry about meeting people. Okay, the next one says, I'm doing sport at Medway. Do they have good facilities? The answer is yes, in my opinion. There are cutting edge facilities in all of the campuses, so don't think just because you're at Medway and it's not as big as Canterbury then it's not going to be as good, or the facilities aren't as good. I've heard so many good things about the sport facilities on the Medway campus. I remember last year, I think Ollie Mers came with his sporting injury, and students got to work with him. They've got all the different kinds of sport facilities. That's not my area of expertise, so I don't know exactly what they are, but I'm sure we can leave a link down below if you are doing any sports courses at Medway. That will give you more information on exactly what we have. But basically the facilities on all the campuses are very like cutting edge, and there's been a lot of money that's gone into them, so it's definitely up there. I think we had another one in our DMs saying, what do I love most about Kent? So this one is a hard one for me, because I feel sad because I'm leaving this year, but for me, because I've had my whole experience, I can be completely honest, and I can, you know, it's quite easy for me to say I've had these 3 years, so now I know what I loved most. For me, what made my time at Kent so valuable was the community feel and the support systems and the networks that are available on campus. If you need student support services, they're there, they're very supportive. I know a few people that have used their services and they've really found them really valuable and supportive in times when they needed them. The community feel, like I say, Kent Union are really great for giving advice for people that need it, or arranging events and societies. I just feel like there's a very good community feel, and I feel like there's someone for everyone, like there's support for everyone. There's not necessarily, in my case I haven't experienced any, there's no negative like vibes, I don't know, there's just, everyone's been really friendly, the people there are always really happy, and being in Canterbury in general has been amazing. I think that's another thing that's completely sold it for me, was the location. As someone that lives in South East London, it's quite easy for me to commute back home, which was really important at the time because I didn't know how at home I would feel living away from home for the first time. But because the transport links are so good, you can be in London in under an hour from Canterbury East. I think that made it feel so so much more accessible, and not like you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't feel like that at all. If you want to go to London for the day and come back, it's so easy, and especially if you get a rail card, it makes it really cheap as well. So it's so much better than if you're a London person already and you go all the way up north, you feel completely out of your depth. But being here, you still feel very like in the zone. And also being so close to beaches, I spent so many hours at beaches towards the end of my experience. So we were literally 15 minutes away from a beach, and if you get a bus pass, which you may consider doing, that will cover you all the way around that kind of Kent area, so you can go to and from the beaches so easily, and it will be free on your bus card. So I'd say definitely make the most of that, especially I didn't grow up anywhere near the sea, so for me this was like such a massive thing. So that was really enjoyable, and there's loads of amazing walks everywhere. Even if you're not like a country person or like a nature person, you'll be converted. I know everyone ended up going to the beach in the end. And then just in general, I think for me, it's all the things that you don't necessarily think of when you join a university that made it special to me. So when I was looking for my university, I thought I have to choose the place that does the best course, I have to choose the place that is highest in the rankings. But realistically, it's a place where you're going to feel most comfortable to learn, and that's what Kent offered me. I felt super comfortable to be able to do my studies, to feel at home. And when you feel like you're meeting the right people, you're in the right mindset, and you've got the right support systems behind you, and all of your lecturers are supportive, and the things that they're teaching you, you understand, and you feel like you can interact with and engage with, those are the things that really make the experience good. Because if you feel out of your depth somewhere, or if you feel like you're not really fitting in, those things can really be detrimental to how much effort you put in and how your studies go. So I'd say that Kent really has an amazing community feel, and these things make you feel so much more comfortable and so much more willing to learn. I'll just point out at this time as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. They can be about literally anything about Kent. I'm not fussed. Okay, we've got another one here. It says, is there a good nightlife in Canterbury? This was not my priority at the start, but once I started spending time at Kent, you realise that Canterbury city centre is actually really good for nightlife. Basically, if you're that kind of person and you like going out a lot, if you wanted to in Canterbury, there'll be somewhere that you could go out every night. There's an event where you could go on Monday, or on Tuesday you've got Ruby Tuesdays, which is more of the indie night. On Wednesdays that's a society night, and you go to the Kent Union bar called Venue. That has been, I did go there quite a lot in my first year, and it's always packed, and it's always got such a good atmosphere of people, society's dressing up. I'd say if you are someone that likes to go out and enjoys the nightlife and enjoys drinking, there's definitely options for you in the Canterbury city centre. Taxis are super cheap as well to get to and from, and buses, and it's so close. You can walk down there. You'll be there in 5-10 minutes, so it's so easy to get to. And yeah, there is, and because there's two other universities, so there's an arts university and there's Canterbury Christchurch, the city has a really good university student feel to it, so that makes it, I don't know, it just adds to the nightlife, because there's just so many people your age around, so many different people to mix with. There's two Wetherspoons, there's loads of cute little pubs, which I do recommend going because I didn't go to them enough. I ended up just going to Spoons, but go to all of the nice old school pubs. But basically, yes, there is a great nightlife. But also, if you're not a drinker, there's also great things for you to do as well. There's loads of we've got a cinema on campus. If you want to join other societies like choirs or something like that, there's loads of different opportunities. So if you're not a drinker, and if you don't look for a nightlife, don't worry, there's so much for you to do as well. But if you are, yes, there is. Okay, we have a question. Did you stay in Shearing Flats? If so, where did you get your fitted sheets and what size? So yes, I was in Shearing Flats. I was in Block B. So where did I get my fitted sheets? I'm pretty sure, but you can definitely check. I'm sure we can leave a link down below. Your sheet size, I think it was a queen size bed, but if you bring a double, it should be fine. You can tuck it under a bit more. I think that's what I did. I think I just brought a double sheet. But I know that all the actual sizes are on the website. And I know that they also, through the university, they do work with a company who will take all of your new sheets or all of your new stuff that you're going to buy, and they'll literally deliver it to your flat and they'll put it in your flat before. And I know that's on the website, but I can always, if you want to send me a message, a private message, on Facebook, I can try and link you to that. But yeah, I just bought basically I bought a double duvet, I bought a double sheet, just because it's easier to fit something that's a bit bigger than a bit smaller. And from what I remember, I think it was a queen size bed. It wasn't a double, but it also wasn't a single. Yeah. So we have another one saying, I live in London, are there good links to London from both campuses? So I've kind of covered this, but I live in southeast London. So for me, I wanted somewhere where I could get home. I really enjoy like the music scene, so for me I wanted to be able to go on nights out or go to gigs in London and be able to come back either to Canterbury or to my house and make it super easy. And it has been. I can literally go somewhere in London in the evening and I can be back in the afternoon, or I can get back on the same day, no problem. You can get the last train, you'll be back like just after midnight. So it's super easy to go to and from. The train systems are so good. Like I say, you can be from Canterbury East to London in literally 50 minutes, which is so good, because in Kent you just feel like you're slightly in the countryside, you wouldn't believe, but it's a fast train that literally takes you to St Pancras International, so that's super easy. And I'm sure from Medway it's the same situation. Yeah, I'd say transport is super easy. For me, I never found it a problem, and there's, basically. Question from DMs, we've got, do clearing applicants get guaranteed accommodation? Yes, so this is something really good that Kent's offering as an incentive, because I can only imagine you've only got your place through university and now you have to try and panic and find accommodation. So for Kent, if you come through clearing, your accommodation is guaranteed, which is so handy, and it must just be a weight off people's shoulders, because I know it probably is enough stress as it is trying to find out which university you're going to then find which accommodation, you need to try and find accommodation. So this makes it super easy. And the good thing about Kent on both campuses is that the accommodation, there's no bad accommodations, there's no accommodations that have a really bad reputation. All of them are lovely in their own way, and each, they offer different things, but they are all they're all very nice. None of them, you're not gonna get to your accommodation and find that it's just not nice and you've been given a bad one because you came through clearing. That's not the case at all. I know lots of people, like I said earlier, if you're having an ensuite or if you're not, either way it's going to be fine. So yeah, clearing accommodation is guaranteed, so that's really handy. And I think we had one more question. I think it was about sports membership. So also, if you're staying on campus in your first year, and this is a Canterbury, I'm not 100% how it applies to Medway, so I might have to leave a link down below for Medway, but if you're on Canterbury campus, you get your gym membership paid for. So if you're somebody that is active, or if you're not, it doesn't matter. I think it's just a great way for you to, there you go ahead. First years get free gym membership, is that true? So we have a gym on campus in Canterbury, which I used quite often. It's really good. It's got the weight bit that the guys do. It's not really my thing, but it's got loads of running machines. It's got a great variety of things in the gym. It's actually quite a good gym. It's super accessible, and then even if you're not going to the gym, it will also cover you for maybe like Zumba classes or cycle classes. They've got so many different things that you can do, so even if you're not conventionally interested in the gym, if you want to do dance, if you want to do other things, then it's a great way to, because they didn't have this incentive when I was there, so I paid the money, so it's definitely worth making the most of it while you can. I'm just thinking about a few other things. So I signed up for squash in my second year, which was such a great opportunity and really good fun. But then they've got 3 squash courts, so that would be completely free. They've got basketball courts. They've also got a massive new tennis facilities, which I've seen at the end of last term, which I'm jealous that just as I'm leaving they've come, but they're amazing. You have to make the most of those. And they've also got great 3G pitches for football. I know that there's a CAFL league that lots of my friends played in, and they really enjoyed that. So if you want to do sport casually, or if you want to do it as part of a society and take it seriously and play games, there's so many different options and opportunities for you to be involved in. So the sport facilities are great, and the fact that you get that for free in your first year while you're living on campus is really great too. So I'm just going to wait for a few more moments to see if anyone has any more questions that they want to ask. But if not, I'll call it a day for today. But if you have any questions as well, please feel free to send me a DM on Facebook or just ask me on the group chat, on the Freshers chat, because I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. They can be about student life. If you're worried about anything in particular, just feel free to send me a message. I've been there for 3 years, so I feel like I know my fair share about Kent now. So I'm just going to wait for 2 more minutes to see if there's any more questions that come up, but if not, that'll be it. I'll just give my last piece of advice maybe, and I'd say just to make the most of the university experience. It can seem quite daunting. Like for me, I remember when I was leaving sixth form, I thought that this is quite a big scary experience. This is my first time moving away from home. I felt a little bit out of control. I didn't feel like I didn't know anyone, so I was a bit scared. But when you get there and you realise how much support there is around you and that everyone's in the same boat, it's quite reassuring. And especially with the course, I was worrying about what I should be bringing to university, about what equipment I needed, if I needed a new laptop, those kind of things. But the first few weeks, they really help to settle you in. So in your first few lectures, you'll realise that they'll tell you what you need. Do you think they'll tell you exactly what you need? They'll tell you how it's going to be structured, how learning's slightly different, because it is a lot more independent learning and a lot more of it you have to do for yourself. But as long as you put the effort in, you get yourself into some kind of a routine. I'd say that's a really great way to just be successful, and I managed to come out of uni with a first, which I was really happy about. So we've got a question saying, do you think COVID will change uni life? It's really a hard one, because in my final few months, so my exams were moved online in my final term. By the way, I'm going to leave a link, I think we can leave a link down below about all of the changes and what the university, their official statement on what the university life's going to be like in your accommodation and in your education side of things. So we will leave that down below. But as a personal idea, education-wise, the way that you learn, for me anyway, I studied marketing, so I didn't have that many practical things to do. Lots of it you can basically teach it online, and that's what they did in the end at the start of the pandemic anyway. But all of our lectures anyway were recorded, so all of your lectures most likely will be recorded on the day, and then they'll be put on Moodle, which is our online virtual learning space. So for me it wasn't that different, because I only had 4 lectures a week in the end, and 4 seminars, and our seminars were basically Zoom calls, which made it super easy to ask questions and interact anyway, so we didn't really miss out on much. And I think especially because we knew everyone, maybe it was slightly different for first years, but because I knew everyone, we were all quite comfortable asking questions via Zoom. I'd also say that my lecturers and everyone were very supportive. They were always responding to their emails as quickly as they could, because they obviously understood, especially that was the time when my dissertation was due in, so I needed a lot of support with that. But they were very supportive, and I'd say that because the library have been so good at putting so many resources online, when you realise that you can basically access any textbook online through the university, it means that all of the information that you need really is on your laptop, or it is available through an email, which makes it super easy. Thinking more about the uni lifestyle, or the social life side, I think naturally this is going to have to change slightly, and I don't know necessarily what the university, the student union bar and those kind of things, I don't know what they have in place, but I'm sure they'll understand that a massive part of the uni experience is the social life and getting to know people. They don't want anyone to feel lonely. They obviously don't want people to not make friends and not experience the university lifestyle. So I'm sure they're doing everything they can, and I've seen that the Kent Union have been arranging the virtual student fair at the start, the freshers fair. So I know that they're doing everything in their power to try and make things as safe but as interactive as possible, because it is very important to get that social side. And especially I think it's important to remember that maybe the first few weeks or the first few months or the first term even might be a bit slow, but if you're just starting university now, you've got 3 more years to get back into it, so it may be slightly more tricky first few months, but I think over the course of your 3 years you will get that full university experience. And if it means that you have to do slightly different things to what you imagine, so say if you and your housemates go to the beach or something like that, then it's, you know, you're social distancing better, or you may not be going straight into the bars or the clubs, but you've been doing other things, or you can have more drinks and get to know your housemates better. I think there's going to be loads of opportunities to do things, but it will change university life to start with, naturally, as it has with everything. But I hope that kind of answers that question. But if you have any more like specific questions, please, would you recommend a Chromebook? If not, what laptops do you recommend? I think this really depends on what subject you're doing, so what like level of tech that you need. I know that a few of my housemates were doing computer science, so they had like lots of like techie things that I don't even understand. I did marketing. I bought a MacBook about 5 or 6 years ago, and touch wood, it's lasted me all this time, which has been super good. But realistically, I didn't need a MacBook. I thought I might, because I thought I was going to be doing more like creative stuff, but realistically I didn't. Oh, you're doing history, okay. So my friends were doing history, and I don't actually know much about the Chromebook in particular, but you don't need a massive like flash laptop basically, because I spent too much money on mine and realised I didn't necessarily need it. All you need really, especially if you're doing history, you just want one that's going to run fast enough to be able to have like your different sources open on your laptop, and you just want something that's going to be able to run Word and run Zoom, and something that's basically not going to crash if you have lots of things open. So Chromebook, I don't know what they do, but if that's something that does that and it's not too expensive, I'd say, but it is worth having a good laptop. But having said that, my boyfriend did biology, and obviously he didn't use his laptop for much. He literally only went on Microsoft Word, and he has like a really old school laptop that looks a bit like a brick. So I think you can get by with anything, and especially because the facilities in the library is so good. Like you can hire laptops in the library, and they've got computers, and they've got especially like the digital medias, they've got these MacBooks. So there are so many different things that you can use on campus. If you didn't want to invest in a really expensive laptop, you're not going to be at a disadvantage, because there's so many things that you can use on campus. So we've also got another one saying, hi, any student bank accounts you recommend? Okay, I don't know too much about the bank accounts, but I can recommend my situation. So I've become a bit of a saving pro. At the start of university, I was splashing the cash like there was no tomorrow, which was, in hindsight, not a good idea. But I'm with Santander. I think I've got the 123 student account. That means that I've got a, what's it called? I can spend £2,000 into my overdraft, basically, which is handy even if you're just like waiting between getting your student loan. It's just nice to know that you've got that. I tried not to go into it, but I know lots of people that have, and I don't judge anyone for it, because it is there for a reason. And, you know, while you're at university, you can't be, you know, you're trying to live on the cheap anyway, but it's nice to know that you've got that. So I had that one. I know that a few people have used other ones. They might get like benefits from it. I don't know. I know that mine has like a few cashback things, which to be honest I haven't really used, but I'm sure they're quite handy. But there is a Santander on the university site, so it just makes it really easy if you want to go and speak to someone about if there's a problem with your overdraft, or if there's problems, there is a Santander literally on campus. So I'd say that's definitely a good way to go. But if you're already with a bank account, it might just be worth speaking to them, saying that I'm becoming a student and that you want to oh, there you go. Annie's just said, we have some information on opening a bank account and choosing a bank there. There you go, they're probably going to be more useful than I will be. Just going to wait for a few more minutes to see if there's any more questions. Oh, thank you, Emily. I'm glad that the video has been helpful. But if not, that's going to be me for today. But like I say, please drop me any messages if you have any more questions or any concerns about life at Kent or Canterbury as a city, or any specific questions about accommodations. I'm more than happy to help. If that's it for the questions, I'm happy to end it here for today. But yeah, please send me, my name's Connie, and I'm Kent Student Connie on Facebook. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today, but thank you very much for listening. I hope I've answered your questions, and good luck in September. We'll see you soon.